It's Friday, September 9th, 2022. Markets just closed a couple hours ago, and markets really had a nice day today. Dow Jones finishes up 377 points. NASDAQ finishes up 250. Everything across the board up. Gold up, silver up nicely. Bitcoin up around $2,000 today. Very, very nice. So we witnessed another miracle on Wall Street take place today. So with all the bad news, with all the bad data, with all the inflation, with the Fed tightening, with the Fed raising rates in 2 weeks, the markets continue to go up. And as I'm watching this transpire today, I get a phone call from a friend of mine, and he reports to me that he has a friend in the bankruptcy business who's a bankruptcy specialist. And they told him that bankruptcies in California are up 118%, that their office cannot keep up with the amount of demand with people filing bankruptcy. And they said that there's two types of people coming in. A majority of their bankruptcies are two types of people: escrow officers and real estate agents. So these were the people living high on the hog, people who really benefited from all of the Fed funny money, the Fed juicing the markets, the Fed really juicing the real estate market with exceptionally low rates, and pumping in trillions of dollars into the market, giving people a lot of free money. And this really enhanced the real estate bubble. And so you had escrow officers, real estate agents making money off of this, most of who did not put any money away, who are already tapping out right now. It hasn't even gotten bad yet. And we have bankruptcies up 118% in California. And this individual says they cannot keep up with the amount of people walking through their doors, setting appointments, loan officers and real estate agents who are filing bankruptcy already in the early innings of this housing crash. Unbelievable. This number of 118%, it can double, it can triple, it can quadruple very, very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm listening to this, which is reality, and yet I'm watching the television and these cheerleaders telling everybody that they need to be buying in right now. They need to be buying into these markets right now. You're gonna miss out. Yet we are watching bankruptcies begin to explode. Wolfstreet.com, boots on the ground observations by 21 home builders about the housing market that they're facing. This comes from the John Burns Real Estate Consulting Home Builder Survey. And it surveyed 300 home builders in 80 metro areas. And I'm just going to give you just a couple of them. Here, this comes from a Phoenix home builder. And they say this: the positive is there's light at the end of the tunnel for improving build cycle times. The negative is there won't be customers on the other side. A builder out of Austin, Texas says a lot of spec inventory to work through. August was a very poor month for sales across the board. Cancellations spiked from July. Sacramento home builder says this: no urgency in buyers. Large public builders with significant spec inventory are winning more over the sales with very large incentives. A Tampa builder, Tampa Bay, Florida. Big spec builders are slashing prices on their inventory. If rates get to 6.5%, the waters will get very, very choppy. So I thought that was very interesting. If you get a chance, check out the article. You can read a lot of what these builders have to say in these tweets. But very interesting. Another article today: U.S. household net worth crashed by most ever in Q2. This on the hedge. Globally, debt and equity markets lost around $23 trillion of wealth. In the U.S., the Fed's flow of funds data issued today shows U.S. households lost a shocking $6.1 trillion in the second quarter. This is the largest quarterly loss in history, even bigger than during the peak of the lockdown in 2020. The real loss could be much worse. This is what we're being told. And again, much of this is manipulated, but they're saying the losses could be much worse. So think about this, though, as we're watching the markets boom today. The biggest drop in household wealth during the strongest economy. Does this make any sense to anybody whatsoever? You really got to shake your head with some of this stuff that's going on. You read this stuff, you talk to friends, you read the comments down below, you look at the data, and yet market up today. Something is wrong. Somebody is lying. Something is being very manipulated here. Strap and looming credit crunch means junk bond defaults will surge higher. The chickens have come home to roost, ladies and gentlemen. They can press these markets up as much as they want. They can manipulate them. They can play whatever games that they want to play. But in my humble opinion, it is going to be the housing market that brings everything to its knees. This thing ain't over, ladies and gentlemen. It's just getting started. Kenny Polcari, many of you probably seen him on Fox Business. He was interviewed in this article, and he says corporate borrowers are at risk of a double whammy. Weaker earnings and rising interest rates that will cause credit agencies to issue a wave of downgrades, making it harder for companies to borrow even more money to fund growth or to repay current debt, which will cause defaults to rise. We are going to see catastrophic events take place because of what is about to happen in this economy and in these markets. I hope they enjoy these days today. I don't want to see things crash, but they must crash. I don't believe in supporting fraudulent, manipulated markets that have been completely juiced by trillions of dollars, low interest rates, corporate buybacks, mass manipulation of these markets. I just don't believe in supporting that. We don't know true valuations of any of these assets, and it all needs to be flushed out. It really, really does. There will be people out there saying that I'm hoping for the markets to crash, that I hope people get hurt and wrecked and whatnot. No, I really pray to God nobody gets hurt. I didn't make the choice to get involved with these fraudulent markets, support these fraudulent markets, play in this rigged game. And as long as people are winning at the poker table, they're fine. Even if it's rigged, they don't care. They're more than happy to play a rigged game. But when they're losing, that's when they get upset. That's when they lash out. That's when they're not friends of the Fed any longer. That's when they want to fight the Fed. I do not support a rigged system. I don't support rigged markets. It must be crushed so that we have true valuations of these assets. Why should just a very few at the top, at the inside, win? And yet there have been a lot of people that have no doubt at the bottom made some money in these markets, but now the markets are so overpriced that you got to have a lot of money to win in these markets. People were able to bet 50 cents and make 50,000 in the cryptos. That's pure gambling. This isn't even investing at this point. But these systems are now gambling. They're not for investors. It's pure speculation, pure gambling. It's all supported by corporate buybacks. It's all supported by the Fed, juiced with trillions of dollars and low interest rates. I mean, we literally had rates at 0% for a decade. And as long as people were making money, as long as the prices of their homes were going up, they didn't care how it happened. They didn't care that it was fraudulent, that it was manipulated, that it was all mostly the doing of the Feds. That was okay as long as they're winning. They're not going to be happy when they begin to lose. But the thing is that we all have to understand is that bubbles don't last forever. They all burst. And rigged markets, a rigged game, a Ponzi scheme does not last forever. Because now the economy is paying the price. We have sacrificed the U.S. economy for the stock market, and now the economy is collapsing, and it is going to bring the housing market down with it, and it is going to bring the stock market down also. So get ready. The hedge today, consumer credit unexpectedly slows as new auto loans stumble on soaring rates. 1 month after the second biggest monthly increase in consumer credit in U.S. history, which in turn was just 2 months after the biggest surge in credit card and student loan and auto loans on record, in July, the growth in consumer credit unexpectedly slowed to just $23.8 billion, down sharply from $39.1 billion in June. Second lowest monthly increase of the year. The big surprise was the sudden slowdown in the non-revolving credit growth, which was cut in half from $24 billion in June, one of the highest on record, to just $12.9 billion, the lowest since January. This is a result of rising interest rates on auto loans, college tuition loans, and home loans. Now that we're beginning to see the cost to borrow money go up, we're going to see these sectors go down. And this is why you're going to see a very, very severe housing crash, because when you have rates doubling from a year ago, it's a big problem. But on top of that, people are getting laid off. People are losing jobs. People are losing to inflation. Their savings is being absolutely wiped out. When you look at the savings rate of 5% in America, people they can't save up enough money for a down payment. They can't save up for an emergency reserve. And this is why most people have absolutely no money saved up, because they cannot get ahead, because the cost of everything, including food and gasoline, just goes up, up, and up. And yes, we've had a pullback in gasoline, but it is surely a lot more money than it was a year ago. And people just cannot keep up with the inflation. Another article today, UN food officials warns fertilizer affordability crisis could slash global grain production by 40%. The Ukraine war and crop failures all over the world, globally. Even right here in America, we're having a lot of drought. I think they said about 40% of this country is in a drought right now. And it is affecting crops all across the world. And that is an added problem to the cost of fertilizer, which is absolutely skyrocketing. High fertilizer prices are expected to shrink the world's food production from rice to grain. Remember, we need grain to feed cattle. You know, cattle needs grain, not just grass. Not all cattle eats grass. A lot of cattle is grain fed. You look at pigs too, grain fed. And so if we're not able to raise grain, we can't feed cattle. And we're seeing so much of the cattle population now in America go down, because the cattle producers are selling off their cattle and downsizing because they can't afford to feed their cattle. And so this is going to be a problem that we're really going to begin to see next year and the year after. We're going to see a really delayed response to this, because that's how it works in the farming business, in cattle, in food production. If we have a bad year this year, we don't really begin to see it till next year and the year after. Prices of fertilizer are up right here in America. They're up 220%. So I watch these markets today, and I'm reading some news today, and I'm talking to friends today, and I just cannot understand how the markets could be up today. Please comment down below. Also, regarding the food crisis, I read another article today. I forgot where it was, but these food banks, they're running out of food. They're running out of donations. Many food banks across the U.S. have shut down. They're closed. They can help no one. And so we have a shrinking supply of food banks and food charities across America, as more people in America become food insecure, as more people don't have the money and resources to get food, to buy food, to feed their kids. And this is going to become a bigger problem, because inflation is going to go up. Food costs is going to go up. And the amount of food and the cost to produce food with fertilizer prices and now these droughts, we're going to have less food to put on the shelves while inflation pushes prices up. And that's going to produce more food insecure families in America. And this is a big problem. So maybe today you feel good because the stock market was up. Please share with all of us why it was up today. Had people call me today, why is the market up today? I have no idea, but I can tell you what, the economy is collapsing. This economy is deep in a recession right now. It's in my opinion, it's been in a depression, and this depression is going to get much worse. But you start adding this food crisis to it, and these food banks shutting down, it's a big, big problem. This thing can get really, really bad. And, you know, a lot of people ignore what's happening. They live maybe in a nice area. It's a nice area here. We've got the golf course right over here. It's nice out here in the desert. Some people live down at the beach, and you know, it's nice to look at the ocean and watch the seagulls. And we really begin to ignore or be blinded by the reality of what's happening across this country. I can drive just minutes from where I'm at right now, and there's encampments, people living in encampments all over the desert here. So I can walk outside and everything looks nice, but I can drive 5 minutes from here and I begin to see trouble. And I begin to see the reality of what this economy is producing. It's producing a lot of homelessness, food shortages, a lot of inflation, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and a lot of people that cannot sleep at night because they are drowning in debt. So market's up today, but are things improving where you live? Are things improving in your life? Are you getting ahead? Are you able to save money? Are you making more money? Is your dollar purchasing more? Think about this. Is the average person acquiring more debt? Can they sleep? What about their physical health? You know, when people can't sleep at night and they're stressed, this is when people get sick. This is when people begin to think about suicide. This is when people turn to alcohol and drugs. As I've said in one of my past videos, if you need help, call a church, call a priest, call one of these 800 numbers that you can go online and find. Do not do anything stupid. We are going to get past this. Nothing is worth your life. Nothing is worth taking on an addiction. And if you have an addiction right now, you need to get rid of that addiction, and you need to do whatever you need to do to get rid of that addiction right now. You do not want to be heading into a global collapse, the greatest depression we're ever going to see, having addictions. Get your house in order, get rid of these addictions, talk to a pastor, pray to God daily, call a priest, call a rabbi, call a professional and get some help. You got to conquer these demons right now, because things are going to get very, very dark here in America. And people who are drowning in debt, who have addictions, don't have their lives in order, who don't have a mental mindset, they are going to absolutely get obliterated during this period. This is a time where we really have to have control of our lives, be walking close to God, not having addictions, not being having addictions to alcohol, drugs, and to other things that can bring us down. This is a time where we have to rise up, be strong, be leaders of our families, and be leaders in our communities. This is the only way we get through it. So be an example, get control of your life, and get ready for what's coming. Be strong. Have a great weekend, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless all of you.